Okay then, I think we're ready to begin. So welcome to the Margin to Centre Conference 2021. I'm Rohin, I've been a panel organiser. This is Grace, Morrison and Kat, who've also all helped me organise this conference. Our next organiser, Beanal, is not here at the moment because she has a seminar on, but she will be joining us later on to run the Women's World panel. When the inaugural conference was held last year, it felt powerful and timely. Arising out of the RHS report into race, ethnicity and equality, which exposed the underrepresentation, discrimination and harassment that BIPOC historians face, the conference also coincided with staff strikes over pay, discrimination, and conditions in the workplace. Attending the conference last year felt like a gift, a chance to engage with the issues that were in the air. The aim of our founders, Claire Burgess and Olivia Wyatt, to change the way we think about history, identity, and agency were fully realized. And I can safely say that attending the conference last year was the most significant event for my personal development as a historian. But it was really after the stress and excitement of the day were over that I was able to appreciate the most special aspect of the day. The opportunity it gave us as presenters to all come together, to talk to each other, listen to each other, learn from each other, and to realize that we weren't alone. There were more people who cared about history enough to try and make a positive change. In the months that followed, this feeling of community that developed had a new meaning. As the pandemic threw the world into turmoil, the connections that we made at the conference felt more and more important. The virus threw the world upside down and inequalities were laid starkly bare. The disproportionate impact of the virus on communities of colour, and especially on the disabled community, served as a reminder that what we are fighting in this conference is not just the narratives of the past, but it's the material conditions of the present. The Black Lives Matter protests and rebellions around the world demonstrated that while the fight for equality has never stopped, and though it's no longer in the headlines, we cannot forget that it is still ongoing. Political prisoners from the demonstrations in June, from the Ferguson and from the civil rights movement are still being held. The violence of incarceration flourishes when out of sight, and the continued deportation, imprisonment, and abuse of immigrants and refugees around the world, but especially here, really brings us home. Throughout these protests, history has taken center stage. Whether it's debates about the meaning of statues, accusations of rewriting history, or invoking the past to commit present atrocities, we are constantly being reminded that history shapes the way that we understand ourselves today. Therefore, to challenge these histories, to place marginalized people back into the narrative, is an act of resistance. Recognizing that marginalized people have always fought their marginalization, they have always fought their oppressors, and have always fought to retake their own narratives, can inspire us in the present to do the same. Odd as it may seem, I completely agree with the remarks of the Culture Secretary and the University's Minister that we shouldn't serve to sanitize or erase our past. History tells us who we are, who we have been, and who we can be. And it's only by being honest with ourselves that we can begin to move forward. Therefore, it is our duty and our privilege to challenge the record, to interrogate history, and to bring to light the truth and what was lost and hidden. Contrary to what some would have us believe, this project is not woke to put marginalized people back into history. It's not an ideological project to challenge the narrative of oppressors. And it's not culture war to talk about the mistakes and violence of the past. This is history, pure and simple. The fact that our history is the first step in understanding our liberation merely makes it more important. We make our own history, and if it weighs on us like a nightmare, then only truth can set us free. The brilliant papers that you are going to hear today are parts of that work. I hope that we can all leave today with new perspectives on history, truth, and identity that we carry forward as we try to shape the world for the better. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Kat now.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for coming, and thank Rohin for introducing the idea of what all of this is about. I decided to get involved and help with the Margins to Centre conference after some experiences I had whilst I was at the University of York during my history degree. And I think I would just like to talk a little bit about the experiences that I had as a student that really inspired me to get involved with this project to promote marginalised histories. So in my second year, I took a module called Disciplines of History, and we had a class on something called critical race theory, which I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with. But we were introduced to works such as Ain't No Black in the Union Jack by Paul Gilroy. And we also had to read the Royal Historical Society report on race, ethnicity and equality as part of that class. And attending various talks and open lectures hosted by the university. This introduced me a lot more to ideas of decolonising the curriculum. And this really intrigued me because it was something that I hadn't necessarily encountered before. And a few months later, in June 2019, the department actually hosted a workshop on the Royal Historical Society report on race, ethnicity and equality. And that brought me to even more interesting conversations. We had panels. I believe Olivia spoke, who ran the conference last year, and we also had people who came to talk from York Museums Trust. And it was really, really inspiring to see that these issues were important, like across the whole discipline, and that this was something that could reach beyond just being a part of the university. And a year later, after we were plunged into the pandemic and we had an extensive Black Lives Matter movement that sprung up, almost a year to the day, the history department hosted another talk, but this time it was via Zoom. And it was a meeting in the department about Black Lives Matter and about what the response from the department was going to be. And I thought that that was also a really inspiring move because, you know, it was all on our minds, it was all in our consciousness. And I think that it was really important. And due to all of these different experiences, I think that being a student at the university has really helped me expand my thinking in this way when it comes to marginalised histories. And, you know, it's the power of this discourse and that the universities are taking charge and hosting events like these that makes me slightly concerned when we're thinking about the appointment of something like a free speech champion and regulation of these sorts of events by the government. I'm not sure what that precedent is going to be in the future. But the purpose of this event more specifically is to think about marginalised histories more broadly. I think this is important because the dominant narratives that we are experiencing, they are deliberate constructs, and I think that events like these give us a chance to turn around and be honest about why our world is the way it is and what histories we know and why we know them. I think it allows us to ask the question, what is history? I know that I've asked myself this question several times over the course of my degree, and I think that it pays to expand our definitions of what history is, to encompass a wider range of people and their perspectives, and giving these people the agency to tell their own stories. And I think that is a big part of the reason why we're here. I think that hosting events like these allows us to expand our resources. It plants these ideas in more people's minds, and perhaps it will help us to uncover new sources and new ways of telling these stories too. Since 2018, the Royal Historical Society has also published 3 further reports, 2 roadmaps in reaction to the Race, Ethnicity and Equality report and an LGBT+ report on historians and history. As we are here to help us explore the wider effort to uncover marginalised histories, I think it's also really significant that this is an undergraduate conference and that undergraduates are taking the main role here. I think it's really inspiring to see that from so early on in their historical careers, they've come here to talk about marginalised histories, and we are already inculcating ideas from such an early stage. I think conferences like these, you know, this is a free event and open to everyone. And I think that this is helping us to increase accessibility to marginalised histories and helping us realise that everybody deserves their history and to have their histories told. I think it provides us with a new way of understanding ourselves and the people around us. It helps us to engage with our communities. And by introducing these ideas into our everyday conversations, I think that this means that by word of mouth, we can further promote marginalised histories. It's been an incredibly difficult year, but I would like to thank everybody who's been involved in the conference for making such an effort. It's been absolutely stellar, and we have an amazing range of papers. And for the first time, our conference actually has a bit more of an international dimension, because being entirely online, that's allowed us to expand beyond just being a UK-based conference, which I think does all the more to help us with our promotion of marginalised histories. And I think that this conference today will really help us in understanding the work we have to do to go forwards in pushing these representations. And last but not least, all of the organisers would like to gratefully acknowledge the support provided by the BME Events and Activities Scheme, administered by the Social History Society in partnership with the Economic History Society, History UK, the History of Education Society UK, the History Workshop Journal, the Royal Historical Society, the Society for the Study of Labour History, and the Women's History Network. Thanks very much, and I'll pass you on to Morrison, who I believe has a few words.
Yes, thank you very much, Kat, and thank you, Rohin, for your inspirational and insightful comments on what we hope to gain from this conference and the reason why we're holding it today. It falls on me to just talk over a few technicalities, just want to incite you on these. So Rohin's already posted to you, I believe, to the attendees chat, a list of ways you can get in contact with us throughout the conference and how you can use the Q&A function. So yeah, please use the Q&A function to ask any questions to panelists, that's us, throughout the talk. These will be answered at the end of each session, this one excluded. If you're experiencing any technical issues or you think that one of our presenters is, please use the chat function to tell us. Alternatively, throughout the day, you can email us at marginstocenterug@gmail.com, where one of the team will try and help you. And if you're tweeting about the conference, please use the hashtag UG HistConf, so we can find out your tweets and share them. Unfortunately, it does fall on me to also talk a little bit about just covering some ground rules and just wanting to sort of iron stuff out and make sure that, you know, this will be a fun and enjoyable event. So this conference must act as an opportunity for decent and polite debate, giving every individual the ability to expand on or create discussion points revolving around the subjects at hand. And this should remain a place safe from abusive criticism or mockery. There are many important subjects being discussed at this conference, so please, I implore you all to treat each other with respect and treat every different but appropriate topic or question with complete and honest debate. If at any point during this day anybody is in breach of these rulings, then myself or a member of the team will take disciplinary action and remove you from the event. Additionally, if anybody becomes uncomfortable with another person's attitude and a member of the team fails to acknowledge or spot this, please do flag this with us just by using the mediums I just talked about. Just send us a direct message. That all aside, do remember this is going to be a day of discussion and enjoyable content. So let's just have fun and enjoy it. Okay, I believe our panelists are really looking forward to talking later. I mean, I know a few of them are feeling a little bit nervous, got a few butterflies and stuff, but I'm sure that adrenaline will only make their presentations even better. And I'd like to say on behalf of myself and the rest of the team, and of course the man of the hour who organised this all, Rohin Alexander, the leader of the conference, as well as all the academics who will actually be participating today, that we've thoroughly enjoyed organising this, and we're like really looking forward to actually what this can produce. So that all said, I hope you, the audience, enjoys the discussions of the day and enjoy participating at every opportunity. I believe now what will happen is we will end this and we will reconvene at 12 o'clock for the first panel, Health and Healing. That's going to be headed by myself and Professor Julie Anderson of Kent University, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you all very much for coming today, and we hope to see you later.
Thank you very much. Bye.